Star Wars only, I don't know what the fuck your problem is.
So I watched Rise of Skywalker again. I've heard from a lot of friends on Twitter and Instagram and people who enjoyed the film who said that you really need to see it twice. And I heard the same thing about The Last Jedi, and I've come out with basically the same results as I did with that film. I liked it even less. This isn't going to be a film that I think grows on me. I watched it again, and instead of with a friend, I watched this with my mom, who saw Return of the Jedi almost every weekend when it was in theaters back in 1983. And I'm going to be honest, man, I almost fell asleep this time. Not because it's that boring of a film, simply because it is an exhausting film to get through. I mean, I had a headache leaving this, and I'm not trying to say that's a negative of the film. I'm just saying, from my personal experience of this film, it is exhausting to watch because there's so much that happens, and it is, like I've said before, a convoluted mess of a story. And yet again, I didn't feel anything in this. I didn't have any emotional connection in this. Still to this day, I will say that Adam Driver is the guy that really drives this trilogy, and it's almost unfortunate that it's not about him. It's about Rey, who can do anything and everything she wants. You want her to fly the ship? She can do that the best. You want her to take out some stormtroopers with a blaster alone? Good news, she's got you covered. You want her to fight anybody and everybody? Great, she's gonna win no matter what you think's gonna happen. There's not a lot of tension in any scenes with Rey, and I'm still annoyed with the way, by the way, spoiler alerts if you haven't seen the film, don't know why you're watching this if you haven't seen it already, but it's annoying that she still kills Palpatine with the lightning that he used on Mace Windu, and kind of like the same thing that happened there, where Palpatine is shooting the lightning and he's like, I am all of the Sith. And she's like, well, I am all the Jedi, and I'm gonna point back your lightning with my lightsabers as hard as I can. And Palpatine doesn't think, wow, this is really hurting me when she's reflecting my lightning. Why don't I stop shooting lightning? I mean, logic is no longer a thing. And Palpatine's return is still extremely confusing to me. They never talk about how he comes back. He has said that he's died before or something like that, but they don't explain how he's returned. They don't even do... I would have taken the midichlorian route. I mean, honestly, that would have annoyed me because I'm not a midichlorian fan, but that would have at least explained it a little bit. But he says that he made Snoke, which is also confusing because it's like Snoke wanted to kill Rey. Palpatine knew Rey was his granddaughter. That's why he sent his Jedi Hunter friend to go get the mom and the dad and get Rey and bring her back so she could kill him or he could make her the Empress or whatever. But then what was the point of Snoke trying to kill Rey? Was he controlling Snoke? Because it doesn't seem like he was. And did Snoke know that Palpatine was using him? Or does he know that he was created by Palpatine? And just a lot of... Yet again, it opens up a lot of questions, but not a lot of actual answers that I think would satisfy and give you a proper conclusion to the trilogy. And there was no Star Wars magic in this, my friends. I mean, I know you can say the same thing with the prequels, and I would argue that that doesn't have a lot of Star Wars magic, but it has some story that's a little interesting that can lead into a show like the Clone Wars or future films like the original trilogy. But what's weird about this trilogy, the sequel trilogy, the only interesting characters are the characters we already know and love. Michael Arndt, who was the original writer for Episode 7, he was working on the George Lucas story treatments, said that one of the hardest things about writing the new films was Luke Skywalker, because every time he came on the scene, it was like, what's Luke going to do? It's Luke Skywalker. And that's the thing. You don't have that with any of these new characters. When Finn or Poe or Rey come on the screen, it's not one of those things where you're like, ooh, what are they gonna do? It's more like, oh my god, what are they gonna do now? You know, kind of not even the sense of the characters, but of the story and what's gonna happen. And one of the cringiest moments in this movie is when Rey takes out Zori Bliss and all her little crew, and Zori's like, not that you care, but I think you're okay. And then Rey's like, I care. And it's like, I don't, okay? I don't, what was this? You're both badass, I get it. I like Zori, she looks cool. Ironically, I hate to say this, at the end of this film, I said that Daisy Ridley's not as good as an actress as I thought she was. The overuse of wide eye shots and having her mouth open and breathing really heavily to express emotion, that didn't really make much sense to me, and it just doesn't seem like great acting. I don't know if she's mentally checked out in this film or not, but you look at that compared to someone like Zori Bliss, who, I can't remember the girl who played her, I know it's a good actress too, but literally, I got a lot of more emotion out of her from the eyes alone. You only see her eyes, and I got so much emotion from that. And then you have a great actor like Adam Driver, who, yet again, should have been the main focus of this trilogy. It should not have been Rey. Adam Driver's character, Kylo Ren, Ben Solo, is a flawed character. He's conflicted between the light and the dark. I mean, he literally is the modern-day Darth Vader. And then in this film, Rey's having her struggles with the dark side because she's related to a dark side user. Kind of like, oh my god. Kind of like how Luke was related to a dark side user named Darth Vader in the original trilogy. Oh my god, they're just doing it all over again! You remember? I love the member berries. You remember? I remember. Remember Tatooine? Well, we're going back there at the end of it all. This film is confusing. I don't want to say like negative things about people who like the film, but I really look at it and go, why do you like it? And what do you like about it? What specific scenes do you like? Do you even have time to think about the film? Because I feel like I don't when I'm watching it. It's like, oh, Rey, you're a Palpatine. It's like, wow, whoa, hang on, wait, does that even make sense? Oh, here's Maz Kanata. Here's Lando. Palpatine's back. He's talking again. Like it just completely rushes through everything because it doesn't want you to think about how stupid the writing really is in this film and how it doesn't. The big thing JJ said going into this film was he wants to tie it in with all the other films. You know how you could have done that? At least shown Anakin Skywalker. I don't even like the prequels. I mean, I know people act like they're really good films now because they don't like the sequels. But, I mean, they're still flawed films, and I still have a lot of problems with them. But Jesus Christ, at least they tried to feel like a Star Wars film. I did not feel like I was watching a Star Wars movie here. At all. I mean, I saw this with my mother, who, like I said, saw the original trilogy, well, at least Return of the Jedi back in '83, watched it every weekend. She left the theater, and I just asked her, I was like, hey, what did you think about it? Because you're not a big Star Wars fanatic like I am. You don't keep up with the Star Wars lingo like a lot of us nerds on the internet do. What do you think about this film? And she said she didn't like it, which, not a big deal. But she also said, this didn't feel like Star Wars, and I'm kind of done with it all. She's like, I just didn't care about any of the characters. I didn't care about Finn. I didn't care about Rey, least of all. And I just don't care anymore. And I was like, wow, that sucks to hear. She said it didn't feel like Star Wars, and that they're trying, not that they're trying too hard, but that it was just confusing. And I was like, yeah, I really do wonder how like an average audience viewer would look at this and make sense of it all. Because you have the Final Order fleet who can't leave the planet because there's a certain route they have to follow, and the Resistance can get there pretty easily, and they seem to have left pretty easily as well. But they didn't have a route to follow. I mean, they got the one from Rey, but did that go to the other, like, 10 million people that showed up? And if they can leave with such ease, why couldn't the Final Order, who's been there for like 30 years, do the same thing? And yet again, how does Snoke fit in all of this? How does Kevin Lee fit in all that? I'm playing. But, I mean, really, how does Snoke fit into all of this? I mean, that really... He wanted to kill Rey. And what's up with this dyad of the Force thing? That really annoyed me, with Rey healing Kylo Ren, and it does bring up the question of, well, why didn't Obi-Wan heal Qui-Gon Jinn? And why didn't Yoda heal Obi-Wan and Anakin when they were hurt by Count Dooku? I mean, so many situations where I feel like that power could have been a great use. But oh, it's explained because they're a dyad in the Force for the first for many generations. It's not a plot hole if you really think about it, dumbass. Okay, yeah, sure. Dyad in the Force. That's not something anyone just pulled out of their ass for no reason. I really don't get this film. A dyad in the Force. What the fuck does that even mean? You two are really close? You're basically like brother and sister in the Force? You know what would be great? Exploring the mythology of the Force. Did this expand the mythology of the Force at all? No. You know what it did? It said there's a dyad in the Force. Great! You did it, JJ. You fucking killed it. I don't know. I just didn't care. I mean, I still feel emptiness after seeing this film. I know I sound like I'm angry and annoyed by it. I'm not. I just genuinely didn't care, and I'm giving you my honest thoughts and reactions to this because it just was a boring film that was exhausting to watch, confusing as hell, a mess of a story, choppy, and just, it's clear that this sequel trilogy had no direction going into this. I really wish they would have planned this out a lot better because Palpatine's return was underwhelming. He looked fucking weird throughout the entire film. Like, it wasn't even, you know, when we see him in the Revenge of the Sith and he's a evil Sith Lord, like he gets that lightning back on his face and he comes back, he looks evil. And then you see him in Return of the Jedi and Empire Strikes Back and he looks like an evil old man. In this film, he doesn't even look evil, he just looks creepy and it's uncomfortable to watch him. Like, I'm not intimidated by him, I'm just like, dude, what's that black stuff around your mouth? Have you been eating, I don't know, black cherries or something? What makes your mouth go black like that? And how have you survived? What kept you alive? And are you a clone? Or are you the actual Emperor Palpatine from the Death Star? I know Dominic Moynihan, or whatever his name is, the guy from Lord of the Rings, great trilogy, he said something about dark side cloning, the Sith technique or whatever. So maybe Palpatine's a clone. But we didn't explain how he returned, so who's to say he's not going to come back again? I mean, really? It's clear they pulled Palpatine out their ass. Rey being related to Palpatine makes no sense, really. I mean, the idea that Palpatine has offspring, a wife, a son who, for some reason, isn't a very powerful Force user, but, you know, whatever. Who cares about that? It's all about the granddaughter. Also, in The Force Awakens, why did when she touched Luke's lightsaber, it gave her a big flashback? Was that because it's Maz says that the lightsaber calls out to her? Why? What was that about? That's a Skywalker lightsaber. It's not a Palpatine thing. I really, really do not think this film is good. It's not smart. I don't hate it, but I definitely don't like it. And I'm just done. I mean, I don't care about the sequel trilogy anymore. The Force Awakens was the only decent one because it literally copied A New Hope, and it was a decent setup to one of the worst trilogies that possibly could have happened to continue the story of the original trilogy. You don't have to do the original trilogy. You don't have to be as good as the original trilogy. I feel like that, it's not a fluke, but I mean, if you were going to call it a fluke, it basically almost is a fluke of how perfect that trilogy is. But my god, create some Star Wars magic. Do something new. This is Return of the Jedi 2.0 in almost every aspect. You got the good girl instead of the good boy, trying to redeem the bad guy. Except they don't kiss at the end because that would be really awkward. But hey, some people are saying that Rey and Kylo are kind of related because Palpatine's technically the son, the father of Anakin Skywalker because he created him with the Force. And that's just because some Star Wars fans don't know what the fuck they're talking about when it comes to Star Wars. I hate to say it, and I hate to be the bearer of bad news. Palpatine is not Anakin's father. If you think that, either A, go reread the Plagueis novel, which I know is not canon, or go rewatch Revenge of the Sith and stop watching YouTube videos to get your Star Wars opinions from. I mean, man, I can't say enough, but can't say so little about this film. It just was a film that happened that we should never talk about again. I'll do some streams and debates with friends in the future on this, but other than that, I will not be watching this film probably ever again. I'm okay. Don't like the characters, don't like Rey least of all. Poe was funny, but it's about all I can give him. Finn was interesting, but hey, he's black, so we can't give him a good story, right, guys? He's just the comedic relief of the whole fucking thing. Yep, gotta love it. Disney Star Wars, my friends. Yeah.